Please join me in welcoming back to the stage director Nuri Bilge Ceylan. And our interpreter Umit Seji. Thank you for this extraordinary film and for being with us. I want to jump in at the end of the film, bringing us back to the title of the film, About Dry Grasses. In the closing scene, you articulate very poignantly with Samet's voiceover the intention behind the title as a central metaphor for the film. And it's a late reveal, and I was wondering if you could speak about whether in the process of conceiving the film, which came first, the metaphor of the title or the narrative premise, the framework around which you build the metaphor?
Aslında ben yine de bu karaktere bir söz vermek istedim sonunda. Yani buna engel olamadım.
So actually I just wanted to ne demek istediniz?
Ona bir söz vermek istedim.
Actually I just wanted to give a promise to the character.
Çünkü hiç onu konuşturmazsam sanki onu izleyicinin çok kolay ötekileştirebileceğini düşündüm.
Because I thought that if I don't let him speak, then people can alienate the character at the end of the movie.
Easily. Yeah. Alienate easily. I wanted to make the situation a bit more complicated. Actually, I don't think it's optimistic talk for me. It's more than that. It's quite pessimistic. I find it what he brings us. Yeah. Okay.
I'm curious how the scenario evolved around the story of a man confronting his own jaded or embittered outlook through this encounter with a young woman who moves him.
Actually, my English is terrible, but still I'll try to speak English a little bit if I can. Actually, we started, we are three people writing this film, but it started from the inspired and based on, actually, to one of the scriptwriters' diaries. He's a teacher, and he, in something like a place like this, he spent 4 years as a teacher. When I read his diaries, and that was the starting point. Actually, at the beginning, I didn't want a film out of it. I didn't want another teacher's story. After my last film, it was also something like that. But I couldn't get rid of it somehow from my mind, you know. Çok da istekli olmayarak diyeyim, yine de bu hikayenin üzerinde bir çalışıp nereye gidecek diye bir görmek istedik.
Although I didn't want it too much, I just wanted to see where it heads to.
So, filmin başında gördüğünüz
as you see it in the
eşim Ebru ve
Ebru,
Akın Aksu, Günceler'in sahibi. Üçümüz oturduk ve çalışmaya başladık.
We all three started working on it together.
O kadar uzun yazmışız ki
he wrote it so long that
film montajladığımda 5 saat falan çıktı.
At the end of the movie it came like 5 hours long.
En uzun senaryomdu bu.
That was the longest script I had.
Kış Uykusu filmim bunun aynı uzunlukta olmasına rağmen senaryosu neredeyse bunun yarısıydı.
Also although it had the same length, senaryo, what was the scenario neydi? Yarısı kadar mıydı?
Neredeyse yarısı.
The script was almost half of it.
montajda, editingde sonuçta çok epey kısalttım ve bu şekle getirdim.
During the editing, there are a lot of reduction happen, and this is the final version of it.
So much of the film's meaning is born out of the sort of opposition that arises in the course of dialogue, whether that's sort of a day-to-day, banal, throwaway conversation or something more sort of obviously substantive, like the debate between Samet and Nuri at the dinner. Did you find that this kind of dialectical approach to meaning was a result of working on the screenplay collaboratively with Ebru and your co-writer, or was it? How did this kind of exchange emerge?
I don't know, by fighting, I think, all the time. Especially with Ebru, because we are living in the same house. And actually, Ebru wants the dialogues more and natural, more from the life. And I tend to write it a bit more, maybe more edebi, literary?
Literary.
Yeah, literary, yeah, something like that, or philosophically. But at the end of the day, I am the director, so I I say the last word all the time, of course.
A central tension in the film that comes across through the dialogue, through these conversations, both sort of everyday and less everyday, is this conflict between laziness or passivity and action, or sort of the gesture of taking responsibility. Did that structure your thinking about the story as a framework for these conversations?
Yeah. Özellikle Nuray'ın evindeki geçen uzun tartışma sahnesi.
Especially the scene with in the Nurai's home, a long conversation.
Bir bakıma filmin merkezi gibi başladı bende.
In a way, it started as the center point of the movie in my head.
Çünkü bu özellikle Türkiye gibi bir ülkede yaşıyorsanız bayağı merkezde duran bir meseledir. Yani siyasi olayların çok yoğun olduğu, gündemin çok hızlı değiştiği ülkelerde.
Because if you're living in a country like Turkey, the political situation is in the center of things.
Özellikle bir sanatçı,
especially an artist.
Yani toplumsal olaylara çok daha fazla duyarlı olması bekleniyor bu tip ülkelerde. Daha fazla bunu sanatında gündeme getirmesi bekleniyor. Dolayısıyla bunu çok fazla gündeme getirmeyen ya da sanatının merkezine daha kişisel şeyleri koyan sanatçılar genellikle daha çok eleştirilir.
So because of this, it's expected for artists to put this involved in their art. It is in a way expected, and when it's not there, it's criticized by others.
Dolayısıyla bu tip bir struggle, yani bu tip bir tartışma bütün sanatçıların benliğinde hep bir şekilde yaşamakta, var olmaktadır. Yani ne yaparsanız yapın bir tür suçluluk duygusu adeta buna eşlik eder. O yüzden böyle bir tartışma üzerinden böyle bir şeyler yapmak aslında hoşuma gitti. Yani iyi bir fikir gibi göründü. Biraz motive etti beni diyeyim. Öyle bir şeyin merkezde durması.
The idea of having this argument in the center of it is something that I liked in my head.
You see it as a pessimistic outlook ultimately, but I think in the character of Sevim there's sort of a spark of hopefulness that runs through the length of the film, and even in the final scene we see her smile, we see her even if it's a reverie, we see her express a kind of hopefulness. Do you feel that in spite of the pessimism of the film, that hope persists, or do you find the pessimism to be too heavy?
When I make movies, actually I don't try to balance the amount of pessimism or optimism. I just do it. I don't know what happens at the end. Because this expectation is also something I don't like. You know, in general, the critics and maybe the audience as well expect a kind of optimism at the end of the movies. I don't think it's correct. An artist should do what he wants to do instinctively without considering such things. And I don't know the amount of optimism and pessimism in the film, actually. I just try to be as realistic as possible.
When it came time to cast your three central actors, Samet, Nuri, and Sevim, what were you looking for in those performers to carry out these expressions of ideas embodied in these three characters?
In the auditions, of course, I looked at everything, the face of the person. But at the end, when I choose them, all I expect is they memorize their lines very well. You know, because if they memorize their lines very nice, very good, then you can play with it afterwards. You can change it, but without this, I don't expect them anything else. Just memorize it, that's all. Then I can also, you know, during the shooting, I am also an audience. I just watch them, you know, so I try to, I change, I try things, many things, so that's it.
There's a line that recurs in the course of the dialogue, don't hide behind the rules. Do you feel that that's a sort of guiding ethos to the film, or is that just one side of the conversation that the film is producing?
Yeah, I didn't get the question either, so can you repeat one more time?
Don't hide behind the rules, this line that appears in the film multiple times, and a return to the question of rules and what's required, what's legal and not. Do you see that as central?
Don't hide behind the rules. Yes, I now remember the lines in the film. What was the question about it again?
Just rules. Do you think the rules, laws, constraints are central to this tension that the film is interested in?
Bu filmde yani merkezi bir yer kaplıyor mu? Bu kuralların olması, insanların kurallara olan bağlılığı ve onları takip ediyor olmaları.
No. I don't think so. But in the bureaucracy, you know, you need it. You sometimes hide behind the rules. That's what. So it was just something that the principal was hiding behind them in order to protect himself. That's all.
I'm sorry to say that's all the time we have. It's very late, but thank you so very much for being with us, and thank you all.
Thank you so much.